Morning, everyone. I am so excited to join you this morning. I'm excited to talk about one of my very, very favorite things. This is the power of letting go. It is an incredible skill and understanding that I came to in a really difficult time in my life. And I'm really excited to share it with you today. So, do something with me real quick as we get started. Let's all take a deep breath. If you have an essential oil, grab a drop of that. And we're just going to breathe in deeply. Breathing in that fresh air and breathing out all that stale air. Oh, it feels better. I'm more awake. Awesome. So guys, we're going to go ahead and dive in. We're going to cover a super important lesson and a skill that I learned myself during a really difficult time in my life. So I want to just set the stage for you for a second here. About 5 years ago, I had a huge revelation. I was stressed. And it seems funny looking back at it now. How did I not know this? Of course I was stressed. I was working incredibly long hours at a job that I didn't like. I was getting sick all the time. I was in a failing marriage. I had no creative outlet to bring joy or a sense of purpose to my life. I was literally dragging myself through every day, pulling myself up the stairs at night, crying in the morning when I had to go to work. I was a mess, and I was certainly stressed, but somehow I didn't know. I didn't realize I was stressed. At this point, I had found a doctor who was helping me to work through my issues with hypothyroidism, and she was helping me with both the standard medicine as well as some natural methods. And every time I would go to visit her, she would ask me, "So, are you stressed?" And I would say, "No, I'm not stressed. I'm sick, but I'm not stressed." And I kept telling her no until one day it occurred to me all of a sudden, if the medicine is not working, I'm feeling worse and worse. My doctor keeps asking me if I'm stressed. Maybe I should consider the possibility that I'm stressed. And so I thought about it. And then being a researcher, I researched it. And it was in that moment that I realized, I came to understand that stress is a biological thing, right? I realized I had been misunderstanding the definition of stress for the first 30 years of my life. I thought I had been taught as a child and growing up into adulthood that being in control was a strength. That if I looked put together, then I was. That if no one could tell that I was nervous or worried, that was what was important. If I didn't look stressed out, then I wasn't. So I had been taught all of these things, and yet I began to realize that stressed out was not just snapping at people. It wasn't just not being able to handle it or losing my cool or having a breakdown, right? It was such a huge stress to learn the biology, the science behind stress, that in a fight or flight scenario, I was the kind of person who would stay and fight. I would stand my ground. I would grab hold of the situation and I would try to control it, to take action, to do whatever I had to, and not let it go until I had fixed the problem. But that didn't mean that my body was not experiencing stress. It didn't mean that I wasn't releasing the stress hormones. So once I understood that and the connection of these stress hormones and the domino effect that that has on all of the rest of your hormones, suddenly I understood, oh, adrenal fatigue. Oh, hypothyroidism. Well, no wonder my doctor keeps asking me if I'm stressed. Stress can directly lead to these things that I'm dealing with. So now I know, now I understand, but what do I do about it? And this is what you guys are here to learn about. What do you do about it? And one of the major lessons that I learned during this time was the power of letting go. I began to learn about the law of attraction. And so if you don't know what that means, it's essentially just the fact that what we focus on, what we think about, becomes our reality. that the energy we put out into the world is the energy that comes back to us, and that energy flows where attention goes. So every time I would get laser focused on this problem, I would turn my attention to the problem, I would grab hold of it, I would not let it go, I would say, I can do this. I was giving my power to the problem. I was heightening its importance. I was losing focus on everything else except the problem at hand. I was giving it energy and attention, and it was taking up more and more space in my life. And therefore, I was losing out on all of these other wonderful things because I was just grabbing hold of this stress situation. And suddenly I began to realize, by not giving it attention, by switching my attention to something else, something that was full of love or joy or peace, that I was able to take the control again. I could take back the power. So feeling in control, trying to get in control of a problem, actually gives the problem control over you. The control is in learning how you put your energy, where you put it, and how that affects your life. And so you can choose what you give your attention to. You can choose what you attract into your life. You can choose what you stop caring about. And I learned all of these things. I learned that I could choose what I attracted in my life, and I could choose what I did not attract. And that was huge. That was how I was able to reduce my stress, and I began to become proactive instead of reactive. I began to take action towards what I wanted and not be reacting to what I did not want. And all of this led me to creating a practice of letting go. It's a practice that I like to call releasing, but it's the same thing. You may just use a different term for it. For me, letting go is a 3-step process. And it was something that I began, like I said, 5 years ago. And it was such a baby step thing. I was in such a rough place. It was really, when I look back now, I'm grateful because it taught me so much. I wouldn't be the person I am today if I hadn't gone through all the things I went through. But it was a rough spot. And it was just this one little thing that was the spark that allowed me to start to understand that my emotions, how I feel, where I direct my attention, could have a huge, huge benefit, not just for my emotional well-being, but for my physical health as well. So the 3 things that I do when I am letting it go, when I am releasing, is to recognize, release, and replace. Recognize, release, and replace. Recognize how I'm feeling. Recognize, oh, okay, something's happening. I don't like it. I'm having a reaction to it. Release that feeling that's not serving me. I don't want to feel this way, right? And then replace it with how I want to feel. So the first step is to realize it's happening. And sometimes that's very clear. Someone yells at you. Okay, that doesn't feel good. Sometimes it's more subtle because it's something that you've done over and over and over and over again, like be late for work and always let that affect you. Like have someone that always bothers you, and so you always react, and you've lost sight of the fact that you're just reacting to that person before they've even done anything, right? So for me, at this moment in my life, I was a retail sales manager in New York. And if you know anything about retail sales or New York, you know that meant a lot of people yelling at me a lot of the time. Just angry customers. There's no way around it. And so anytime I would have an angry customer or an angry employee or just a negative situation, and someone is giving me their anger, they're giving me frustration, it was such a huge thing to realize, okay, that is yours. That emotion is yours. I can take hold of it. I can grab onto the situation and borrow that energy and allow the situation to control me. Or I can say, that's yours, not mine. I get to choose something else. So once you recognize what's happening, you can release that emotion that you don't want, right? And then you can replace it with something else. So here's the affirmation that I promised you guys. It's a formula that you can use for any situation in the midst of a situation that you want to release. All right. So I'm going to tell it to you now. If you have something to jot down, feel free to do that, or you can watch this back later. But it's I release whatever it is you want to release, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. I choose, I believe, I manifest. So in this situation where I've got someone angry at me, I release anger, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. I believe in love. I believe in love. I believe in love. I manifest love. I manifest love. I manifest love. So I release that emotion, that feeling which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. And the reason that we have this back half of this sentence, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner, that's because so often there's a reason that would serve you in the past. Anger has served many of us very well to stand up for ourselves, to not be a floor mat for someone, to protect somebody that we care about. All of these emotions have their place, but we don't actually have to live with them all anymore. And so when you say, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner, you're acknowledging it and you're not blaming it. Guilt is a very low vibration. That's not where we're trying to go. We're not trying to be guilty that we felt angry. You're just saying, you know what? I don't actually need you. Thank you. I see you. And I'm going to ask you to go, right? So there's no blame here. It's just a recognition of the fact that it exists and the fact that you don't need it anymore. And once you have done that, then you get to choose. Well, what do you want? You want love, or you want peace, right? Or you want understanding. And then believe it. Once you choose it, believe it. Put your attention on it. Appreciate it. Make it appreciate in value as the other thing decreases in value. And then manifest it. As you put your attention on it, thus it is. So as you continue to focus on love, focus on love, focus on love, it must manifest. And the incredible thing is that in these moments, I'm dealing with someone who's frustrated at me. I choose, I believe, I manifest love. It doesn't just affect me. It affects me absolutely, and it can change the way that I interact with them. But not just me. It also very often would affect the other person's energy too. They start to soften. Their voice starts to calm down. They start to say things like, I know it's not your fault, but, right? They can feel the love that I'm giving them in that situation, that I'm not returning their anger. And they start to react to my energy. And in that way, they have been affected by my desire to create love. And they didn't even know it. I didn't tell them. I did a releasing affirmation. I let it go, right? You're giving this gift to them as well through caring how you feel. And it's such a simple technique, and it works anytime and anywhere. Like I said, in the middle of the workday, in the middle of dealing with kids or a loved one or a customer service representative on the phone or yourself, if you're frustrating yourself, right? So you can put this into practice anytime, anywhere. And I used to do it all the time. I would just be walking around, feel something come up. It could be big, but it could be small. It could be, wow, I'm really worried about whether this product that I created, if anyone's going to like it. I recognize this fear of failure, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. I choose joy in what I create. I choose joy in what I create. I choose joy in what I create. I believe in joy in what I create. I believe in joy in what I create. I believe in joy in what I create. I manifest joy in what I create. I manifest joy in what I create. I manifest joy in what I create. So I'm going to encourage you guys really quickly. Think of an emotion that happens to you a lot. For me, it's stress, but it's more like overwhelm because I put too much on my plate all the time. So I release overwhelm, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. Choose your own affirmation here and repeat it. I release, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. Now choose its positive opposite. I choose ease, right? I believe in ease. I manifest ease. Your thoughts, the energy of your thoughts is so powerful that just within however many seconds that is, 15 seconds to say that, I can feel my energy shift. So besides these moments, besides the stress and emotions we don't want and they just pop up and we do this in the moment, what are some other things that we can release that would help us to regain true power over our life instead of control over the problems of life? So I've got 4 more for you. Attachment to outcomes. This is big. A lot of people who suffer from anxiety, they worry a lot. They're not really actually worried about the present moment or worried about the past. What they're worried about is the future. They're worried about the what if scenario. What if I do this and it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if it's not received well? What if something bad happens, to someone I love today, right? In the future. And the more you think about a bad thing happening, the more negative energy you send to that, it's not helping the positive outcome occur. That's not how this works. Worrying about it does not make the good thing happen. And so when you feel yourself having anxiety about the future, letting that go, and you can say, I release my anxiety, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. I choose peace. I believe in peace. I manifest peace. Another bonus tip that's just popped into my mind that I love to do is to put yourself into a positive future. So you can close your eyes. Whatever it is that you're worried about, jump 5 minutes after that. If you're worried about launching a product, if you're worried about a meeting today, think 5 minutes after that. Now imagine yourself doing something totally normal. You're drinking your 5th cup of coffee, or you're celebrating that it went well, or you're chatting with a friend, and put yourself in the future beyond the event you have anxiety about. That will help your brain to adjust forward and feel that it is in a space that it knows and understands, and it will not then be worrying about the unknown. If you move yourself past the future, it helps your brain not to worry about the unknown of the future. So that's the second one, attachment to outcomes. Third, people and things. We love things, we love people, they make us happy. But if we rely on people and things to make us happy, now we've given the power of our happiness over to those people and things, right? That's not good because people and things are not perfect. They can't always make us happy. They'll do something we don't like. They'll break. They won't come. We'll want a new car and it doesn't come. We'll want a new outfit and it doesn't fit. We'll get in a new relationship and then it turns out they're not perfect, right? So people and things, pull back your power from that. Let go of a need for them to give you something you don't have. This is another thing I learned. So currently I travel full time. I'm a nomad. And as we were preparing to live life on the road, we had to get rid of a bunch of things. And that taught me to let go of a need to own something, of a need to go shopping and bring something home always to make me feel good. And once you become aware of that pattern, it's so interesting, amazing, and releasing to know I can think that's beautiful and I don't have to own it. I can think that person is amazing and they don't have to be my friend, right? So letting go of people and things, saying, you know what, I can be happy right now. Again, meditation is a great way to focus on the now and find your ability to be joyful with nothing, sitting in a room quietly. Dancing in the meadows in the rain, another great way to find a tiny thing to be joyful about instead of waiting for the big things. And that helps you on your journey of life to be able to constantly appreciate instead of focusing outward on those goals or those things you're trying to get. The fourth thing is the past. Okay, we talked about the future, right? Attachment to outcomes. What about attachment to the past? Someone hurt you. Someone mistreated you. You failed at something. Forgiveness, the definition of this that I love so much, is no longer needing the past to be something other than it was. No longer needing the past to be something other than it was. Deciding it's okay. right? Worrying about what happened to me in the past no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. You can't change it. You can learn from it, but you can't change it. And so trying in your mind to justify, to be angry, to blame someone else isn't helping you to create that positive future, to create a life you love. If you release it, if you say, it's okay, that doesn't mean that the person shouldn't have done it. It doesn't mean that you didn't fail. It doesn't mean any of those things. But if you disconnect your cord from the past, it allows you to move forward without continually dragging it along with you. And then that allows you to focus on the positive things in the present and future and start really creating that present. And then the fifth one is limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs, a belief in general, is just a thought that we've thought over and over and over again. We've thought it so often that at this point we're making decisions based on it. So if you have a thought like money is hard to make, and maybe your parents told you that, maybe you heard it somewhere, maybe you learned it in school, money's hard to make, you have to work hard. Well, you've thought that enough times that now whenever you go to get a job, whenever you work on a product, if you run your own business, whenever you try to save money, you're making decisions based on an assumption of a reality where money is hard to make. So you've now created, by your decision making and your action, that reality in your life. And it all started from that belief. This is a limiting belief because there are many, many people in the world for whom making money is not hard. There are many, many people in the world who just wake up and it just seems to come to them, or they get to do what they love for a living. But you're over here in your lane with your belief and acting upon it. So if you can let go of that, if you can recognize that it's no longer serving you in a positive and productive manner, you can move past it. One for me personally, when I was first starting my own business, it took me about 2 years to start, even though I wanted to, because I just knew that I was not good at technology. In fact, I wasn't, because I knew it so much that I didn't have an iPhone. I hated typing. I didn't like social media. I didn't know anything about any of the programs for editing video or any of that stuff. I didn't know anything because I just knew I wouldn't be good at it. And who likes to do things you're not good at? And so as I realized, the only thing keeping me from running a business, not having to work at the job that I have right now, being able to do a job I love, having freedom to travel and get out into nature, the only thing stopping me is technology. And the only thing about technology that's stopping me is my limiting belief. So if I can let go of that, just like any other emotion, now suddenly I can have the power again to create a new and fresh reality. So I release the belief that I'm bad at technology, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. I choose to learn and grow each day. I choose to learn and grow each day. I believe I can learn and grow each day. I believe I can learn and grow each day. I believe I can learn and grow each day. I manifest learning and growing each day. I manifest learning and growing each day. And when I replace it with this new thought, all you have to do is learn one thing a day. One tiny thing about the internet, about technology. And suddenly, within a couple of months, you're not bad at technology anymore. And the only thing that changed was your approach to it, was your belief about it. So suddenly, when we let go of those limiting beliefs, we open up a wider expanse for us to step more fully into our full potential. So I'm going to go back over super quick the 5 times that you might want to release. When an emotion comes up that no longer serves you. When you feel attachments to an outcome, anxiety about the future. People and things when you're thinking you need them to make you happy. Or when they're not making you happy. The past. Learning to forgive and let it be okay that it was what it was, and focus back on the present. And then limiting beliefs, the things stopping you from reaching your goals. So when can you do this releasing? As I mentioned before, you can do it anytime. You can do it in the grocery store. You can do it at work. You can do it with your kids. I release, which no longer serves me in a positive and productive manner. I choose, I believe, I manifest. But that's for the things that are really easy to notice. For me, technology, as I'm not good at it being not just a truth, but a limiting belief, was harder for me to get to. There are many things that we kind of bury down beneath us and we don't realize that we're carrying them around. And so I like to stop and spend time, specific time on releasing so that I can relax, calm, disconnect from the outside world, feel that I'm in a safe space, and dig a little deeper, get to those hidden things. So I personally like to do this releasing ceremony during the full moon. So I like to do it during the full moon because of what the full moon represents, which is traditionally completion of a harvest, right? Gathering our crops and seeing what we have in gratitude for completion, but also for letting go, diminishing. The moon is at its fullest and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so that diminishing in size so that we can start fresh again, letting go of what no longer serves us so that we can make space for something else. So it's also a time of rest, a time for quiet rejuvenation. And so I always take this time because that way you can't skip it once a month, right? And I'll set aside time to do this releasing ceremony. And I love to lead the guided ceremony for my community as well. All right, guys, leave me any questions that you have in the comments. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that that formula gives you something to hold on to throughout your day. Anytime today that you feel frustration, anger, worry, tired, overwhelmed, any of those good things, stop, take 15 seconds to release it and replace it with its positive opposite, which with something else that will serve you in a positive and productive manner. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much. Sending you love. Happy weekend. And I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.